Welcome to this week's GG's Weekend Watch. We've got a very busy one this week, haven't we? We've got the Shergar Cup that will be taking place at Ascot. We've got Newmarket, Haydock, and as always, if the guys have anything from anywhere else, they'll give them to us as well. Had a good weekend last week. Andrew gave us Udalali at a good price. Give a good mention to Mr. Wagyu as well that won. That was 16-1. Daryl had a couple of winners as well. Wonderful tonight. Horse, I'm looking forward to seeing where that one goes next. Potmaster as well won at 5-2. So good weekend last weekend and another busy one to go at for this week. We start with the Shergar Cup, the 1250 at Ascot, and we were just discussing actually before we recorded. It works exactly the same from a betting point of view, doesn't it? And from a tipping point of view, as regardless of the team aspect. I like Tone the Barone in this one, so that's going to be my first kind of pick of the day. I didn't really think anything in this first race was overly well handicapped personally. This horse is 2 from 3 at Ascot, and his record fresh, other than his maiden effort, which will let him off because it was his first run, he's actually 4 from 4, taking out that debut run. So it's definitely the time to catch Tone the Barone. Hayley always looks like a jockey to follow at this meeting. She does well. So Tone the Barone for me. Daryl, do you want to start?
Yeah, good opening race this. To be fair to the Shergar Cup, the racing is actually of a decent quality this year. So forget the team aspect, exactly like you say, and just focus on it as it would every other week. Tone the Barone's very interesting. 2 for 3 Ascot, 1 for break 4 times, like you say. Interesting that his last turf start was actually here at Ascot, winning over Celius over 5 furlongs here off a mark of 88. It's off 100 today. He's very interesting. They've given him 127 day break before this race. He's definitely a talented horse. He could have more to come. I was quite keen to take on Tis Marvellous at the top of the market. We always think of Tis Marvellous of having this brilliant Ascot record, but he's actually only 2 for 10 at this venue. I don't think he's improving at the age of 7. He will run to a level, but there's got to be something else that can surpass him in this. I thought Stone of Destiny was one of the more interesting runners. I'm slightly concerned about the weather, though. Mixed signals from the forecasters at the moment. There might be a good bit of rain around. If there's a good bit of rain around and thunderstorms around and the ground does get soft, these selections this week might just change. So just bear that in mind. But back to Stone of Destiny, won this in 2019. He's been catching the eye in his last 3 starts in Group Company. Group 1, King Standard. He was only beaten 4 lengths by Oxford. Only 2 lengths by Came from the Dark. He's one of the most improved horses this season. Then he caught the eye at Goodwood. I'm slightly concerned at the age of 6 now. Has he got the pace for 5 furlongs? You'd think this stiff track at Ascot would suit him. I don't think there's tons of pace in this race. I've got it coming from stall 8, Desert Safari. One of the pace angles is actually reserve first edition. And I thought King of Stars might go forward as well. I was trying to work off the pace angle in this race, and I actually quite like Snazzy Jazzy. I think he's one of the most interesting runners in the race. He may want to return to 6 furlongs, but I thought the run at York in the City of Wall Stakes last time behind Winter Power, beaten just 3 1/4 lengths. I thought that was a really, really good run. Massive step forward from his Ascot run, where he was beaten 13 lengths by Rohan and the Wokingham Stakes off a mark of 107. It's been dropped down to a mark of 103. He's completely unexposed at this sort of trip. Now, he's going to be outpaced if they do go quite hard early on, but he will definitely be staying on at the death. And I think a stiff track like this, rather than a fast track like York, would probably suit him a little bit better. And if the rain does come for Snazzy Jazzy, he's definitely going to be in a 3 for me. He's normally got a good record fresh, but he's had a yard switch from Clive Cox to Lawrence Maloney. So you could forgive that run at Ascot quite easily, I think. Different yard, different ways of getting horses fit. I thought he was one of the more interesting runners in the race. He's got some really top-class form over 6 and 7 furlongs. Perhaps a stiff 5 furlongs and a good clip might just suit him, especially if the rain comes. But he will be the selection for now. But this is likely to change if the ground conditions, etc., come in Saturday. So, but Snazzy Jazzy for now will be the selection.
Yeah, I think there's been money for Snazzy Jazzy. I think opened at about 12s, and I think either the 15-2, 13-2, something like that. So, yeah, definitely interesting Snazzy Jazzy. Andrew?
Yeah, as regards the event as a whole, I used to be quite sniffy about it, but it grew it grew on me when when I started bookmaking there, and there was always a good crowd, a lot of them going racing for the first time, and it was a good bit of fun, really. And the good thing as well, if you're a punter, you actually get to back manageable fields at Ascot, whereas we're not worried too much about the draw with 10 runners in some of these straight track races. You're not talking about them splitting into 3 groups and having to guess which the best part of the track is. So, I mean, like Daryl, I'm against Tis Marvellous here. He's only won 1 of his last 13 starts. He's drawn in store 1. He tends to hang to his right. So you could end up sort of, quite exposed on the, far side of the track almost. And it wouldn't be for me at the price. King of Stars does look the pace. Ideally, he doesn't want the reserve first edition to get into the race, because then he'll get a soft lead. Wind-wise, it could be quite strong. It might be sort of half into their faces. I'm still not sure whether that front-running tactic's going to be great here tomorrow. Stone of Destiny is the one I'm going to come down on the side of. He won this 2 years ago, unfortunately, because I put the runner-up First Venture up as a bet, who got beaten a short head or a nose, I think it was. But he needs small fields, and he rarely gets them. He's running in these big field handicaps all the time, or sort of 16 runner group races at Royal Ascot. But when he does get a small field, he goes pretty well. I think three of his wins have come in sort of fields of 10 or less. The other in a field of 21 at Doncaster, where he raced virtually alone down the stand side. So and Andrew Baldwin's 3 from 7 in this race. So Stone of Destiny for me. Of the others, Mockatu will be interesting if he gets in, but he's due to run at Musselburgh on Friday night, so that looks unlikely. And Snazzy Jazzy, it's the ground, I think. If it turns soft or heavy, then he'd have a great chance. But, without knowing that, I couldn't put him up. So Stone of Destiny.
Okay. So Stone of Destiny for Andrew, Snazzy Jazzy for now, for Daryl, and Tone the Barone for me. So really helping you there with a pick for each. We move on to a Stayers Handicap, which is over 2 miles for that second race at Ascot, the 125. Andrew, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure thing. Again, the pace is worth looking at, first of all. There isn't a great deal on paper, probably Hockfeld. Now, generally speaking, it's difficult to make the running over 2 miles at Ascot, but you look at this race, we've only had one front-running winner, 25 to 1 shot. But 10 of the last 20 front runners have finished in the first 3, often at really big prices. So Hockfeld, half interesting. He likes small fields if he gets loose on the lead and there isn't a strong headwind in the straight. Yeah. Of the others, Indianapolis for Ian Williams. The Yards, 2 Shergar Cup runners have both come in this race from just 4 runners. And he ran well at the track a couple of runs ago. Call My Bluff has done incredibly well since fitted with cheek pieces. It's 5 wins, a 2nd and a 6th from 7 starts in the headgear. He could do with rain though, and that second place came to Main Fact. The pipe horse was running off 71, and then won a handicap hurdle, grade 3, won off 147 next time. Yeah. And Ian Williams also has East Asia in the race, who's 3 from 3 on good or faster going. So again, it depends, very much what happens with the rain overnight. If soft appears in the going description, I'd be worried about East Asia's ability to handle the going. So really looking at that, again, Call My Bluff wants rain. East Asia doesn't. I'll come down on the side of Indianapolis.
Okay. I think, again, another one that's an each way price-ish, about 17 to 2 at the time of recording this podcast. Daryl?
Yeah, I can see the case for a lot of these. You can make a small case for a lot of these horses in this field, to be honest with you. I can't get away from the fact that Uber Cool was probably the most interesting runner in the race. I thought that performance at Chester was really taken off the back of a 900-odd day layoff. An excellent training performance by Jane Chappell.
Yeah, I was there that day. It was amazing. And Rob Hart as well had come back from mental health issues and stuff. It was amazing.
And it was so dominant that
come right from the back at Chester.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to shake that. And then you go back through some of his form. We last saw him in 2018 in October. He finished 9th in the Cesarewitch behind Low Sun. I think that trip probably stretched him, because at two out, he was bang there, travelling really nicely. So he's definitely got the ability to win off this £5 higher mark. I think that's very lenient by the handicapper. I think he's taking a bit of a chance there. the bounce factor is obviously the concern that everyone's going to have with him. Now, they've given him a
not ran him back too soon, have they?
Exactly. They've given him a 70-day break. I wonder if that's by design to avoid that factor. I think you'd be folly to write him off, to be honest with you. Step Up and Trip is no problem at all. He's ran well here at Ascot before in the Queen Alexandra, where he just didn't see out the 2 mile 5 furlongs. A lot of these are pretty exposed. You sort of know what you're going to get with him, whereas he's a little bit of an unknown quantity in here. And I think, I don't know if I'm going to have a bet in the race, but you're not going to worry about the ground for Uber. He's won on soft ground before. I think he's a fair price at 7-2. It's a wide open race, but I think he would be the one that I would take a chance on. Of those at slightly bigger prices, Island Brave is interesting. He ran a blinder at Newcastle in the Northumberland Plate last time, finished third. He was behind Hotfield there, but he came from a fair way back. The time before at Ascot here, in the Ascot Stakes, he was given so much to do. He was posted about 6 or 7 wide for most of the race, challenged about 9 or 10 wide down the home straight, and then his effort just petered out over 2 miles 4. He could bounce back. He's off a fair mark of 99, so he'd be interesting. But I think the one I'll take a chance on, if I was going to have a bet in this race, would definitely be Uber Cool.
Yeah, the only downside for me for Uber Cool is that Rob Tart can't ride because, of course, he's not on any of the teams, so that's a shame. But one of those things. Uber Cool then is currently the favourite, and as Daryl said, very versatile ground-wise, has won on soft and good to firm, so haven't got to worry for ground for that if you wanted to have your bet now. And if you want to wait, I'm sure, again, the guys will update closer to the time if they change their mind, depending on the rain. We go on to the 2 o'clock, which is a handicap over 1.5 miles. I thought this was an interesting contest, actually. A fair few horses in here with obvious chances. We've said how wide open some of these are. I thought Spanish Kiss would be the horse to take out of this. Bit of value, really unexposed on the turf. Has won 2 of the 3 starts on grass. It was a bit of a messy race the last time, I thought, in the closing stages. So I could half put a line through that. He's a horse who probably travels too well in his races, so drop back down in trip for Spanish Kiss looks like a good move. Daryl, you want to start?
Yeah, very keen. Well, very keen. I like 2 in this. I like Graphite and I like Spanish Kiss. Spanish Kiss last time here at Ascot, it was a slowly run race. Ironically, the winner came out and won actually at Doncaster yesterday. But it was a slowly run race. He did really well when he made his move into the home straight before his effort just petered out. But he passed these horses like he was still a well-handicapped horse before, just probably not seeing out the 1 mile 6, given the amount of running he's had to do to get into a challenging position. I think you can easily forgive that. I thought he was definitely the one to take out of that race. Time before at Newmarket, over 1 mile 6, he did bolt up, but again, it was a very slowly run race and he didn't really beat much. So I wouldn't say he's a confirmed stay over 1 mile 6. So the drop back to 1 mile 4 is definitely in his favour, I think. Go back to his York run where he beat Live Your Dream, who's now the favourite for the Ebor, short price at 8-1. That form's worked out really well. Noonday Gullens come out and won at Goodwood, the third. And he did that very comfortably, albeit off a mark of 75. He's off 91, but that Ascot run last time just probably says that he's got a little bit more to come. So it wouldn't surprise me if he continued his progression. He's only 4 years old. William Knight really can, improve these horses. The likes of Sabaska just seem to continue to improve with age. So I thought Spanish Kiss was definitely one I was going to have a bit of a punt on. The other one who's a little bit of a dark horse in here, I think, is a horse called Graphite. With David Egan on. Now, this horse was readily put in his place at Newmarket last time by Duke of Condoit, but that one, the winner just was held up at the rear of the field and just let everything unfold in front of him and picked up the pieces, really. Graphite beat everything else in front of him that day, including giving a load of weight to a good 3-year-old called Pied Piper of John Gosden's. The time before that at Newmarket, again, he stayed on really strongly in the closing stages behind Torsilio, who's actually a reserve in this race. But the form has worked out really well. Untold Stories come out and won. Call in the Wind was in 6th. He come out and won at Goodwood. I just think there's a little bit more to come from him. He's off a mark of 92. Since he's come over from France, he's been dropped from a mark of 100 down to 92. He will definitely be staying on at the death over this 1 mile 4. So expect him to run well. He won't mind any rain either. So I'm very torn between the 2 at the moment. Let's go Spanish Kiss for now.
To agree with me.
Yes.
You're brave. Andrew?
Yeah, tricky old race, this one. I was looking at Group 1 Power, who ran in that Snow Ocean Chester race last time out. Now they went too hard up front that day to set it up for the closers. The winner was from midfield, the runner-up also, and the fourth, Sam Cooke, who's favourite here, also came from the back. So in finishing third, Group 1 Power's done best of the prominent racers. And you look at what's happened to the other hold-up horses in that race since. They've all run like hairy dogs, and the ones that have come out. So I couldn't quite understand why Group 1 Power was a bigger price than Sam Cooke. One, he's beaten him last time. He was up against the pace bias. Sam Cooke was flattered. And yet he's a bigger price. So
does he stay, though? Does he stay this trip?
I think it's a bit harsh to say he doesn't based on that last run. I think it was a case of perhaps just going a bit too quick, really. But I thought he was, worth chancing at the prices. I mean, you could. I mean, I think really when he's won over the trip, albeit at Epsom, and then a couple of times he's raced a little bit keenly and perhaps not got home. So I'm not too worried about the trip. And the Trader was the other one as well for Mark Johnson, whose 4 wins have come in fields of 9 or fewer runners. 10 runners here today, so it should be absolutely fine. Tends to be going from the front or racing prominently in these big field handicaps and just, getting swamped. And 14 to 1, I thought that one was a possibility. But yeah, it wasn't a race that I was massively keen on, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Moving on then, next Ascot race. We're doing all of the Ascot races, and we've got the Shergar Cup Mile, and that's at 2:35. Do you prefer this race, Andrew?
This is my nap. This is the
that's a yes then.
Best race of the week. Yeah, I love this race. There's one that I'm very, very keen on, which is a big price, which is Bear Force 1 for Roger Teal. This is the only horse I've bet so far for Saturday. This is one I've written up in the Weekender and Racing and Football Outlook. Goes extremely well third time out. It's the first season he was racing. He was 8 on his racecourse debut, beating 14 lengths. Improved second time out, finishing 4th at 28 to 1. Bang! Third time he's won at 10 to 1. Fast forward to last year, what's he done? Run very similarly. Reappearance, finished 8th. Second run, finished 3rd. Bang! Third time out, he's won at 7 to 1 in the first time cheek pieces. Now, we didn't see him until April, break of 6 months. And again, he's big race at Newbury, run down the field, finished 14th of 16. And then last week at Doncaster, his second run of the season. And he's come back from a break of more than 3 months. He's running over 10 furlongs, a trip he's never attempted before and is unlikely to stay. And he's been back from 20 to 1 into 8 to 1 at one stage overnight, drifted back out to 10s the off. You think, what are you playing at? It's next time. You're a race too early and you're running over the wrong trip. He's run pretty well in the circumstances. He's raced keenly, steady pace over a new trip. Failed to settle early doors, and he's finished 4th of the 8 runners, beating 4 and a bit lengths. And I thought, my God, I've got to back him next time out. And then, lo and behold, he's entered up this week and he's running. So, Bear Force 1 for Roger Teal, stable that's in great form. 2 from 2 on his third start of the season, coming back to his optimum trip of a mile. Happy days, hopefully. And he's got the cheek pieces back on. He didn't wear them last time, and he did. He had them on for the first time when he was a winner last season. So Bear Force 1. And the other one is Dashing Roger, who didn't have a prayer from a wide draw at Salisbury last time out. It was good to soft at Salisbury, so you thought it might be soft enough for them to come across to the stand side, so that stall 9 draw might be all right. But they stayed far side. And the first 4 were drawn 4, 2, 9 and 1. And he was the 9, doing well to finish where he did. So I'll save on Dashing Roger, but he's 11 to 2 and the winner's 14. So what's the point?
Let's hope so. Bear Force 1 then for Andrew. Daryl?
Honestly, exactly the same 2 horses for exactly the same reasons as Andrew. Bear Force 1, I thought catching him second time out or third time out after a break was going to be the way to go. I thought the reapplied cheek pieces on was interesting. I thought last year they ran him at Newbury and they fancied him at Newbury second time out. But that was over 7. He's just not quick enough, I don't think, for 7. I think a stiff mile at Ascot's round course is definitely going to suit him. Cheek pieces are reapplied today. He's got a lovely piece of form at Newmarket from last year that stuck in my mind for a good while. He beat what's called Modern Millie very, very easily. Modern Millie is £18 higher in handicap rate, 103 now, while Bear Force 1 is running off a mark £2 higher. Like I say, the cheek pieces go on. I just think this horse is quite quirky. I think there's going to be times to catch him, and I think this could be the right moment to catch him. He may not do anything else after this, but I just got the feeling that this might be the time to catch him. Second, I took it a second time out. Andrew took his third. Technically it's third time out this season, but second time out after a break. Cheek piece back on, back to a mile. I thought at double figure price, I thought he was relatively unexposed. He's not had too many goes over a mile. One of those was in the Cambridgeshire as well. Other than that, his form figures read 1, 2 and 4, and 4 came on, on the second start. I thought he had a massive chance at double figure price. Haley Turner on board, no bad thing. Stall 1, he's going to be ridden prominently. I think there's a lot to like for a 14-1 shot, so I'll definitely be backing him. Dashing Rogers, the other one, I thought they gave him an RPR of 104 for his Sandown run. I thought that was well over the top. Right, but he did just idle a little bit in front, and then he goes to Salisbury, and he quickened up so well. Right, he ran past horses like Uzo, look, they were standing still. Now that was a massively improved performance from Dashing Roger. He really is just improving at an absolute rate of knots. The only two to come out of the pack were Dashing Roger and Migration. Now, if they were to reoppose, it'd be no match for Migration, but they were the only two to come out from the pack, closing all the way on the line at Salisbury to Johan. Off a mark of 98, he's £1 higher here. If he takes another step forward, he's going to be very, very hard to beat. So I think he's probably the quickest horse in the field. He's got that smart turn of foot, whereas I don't think Bear Force 1 has. I think Bear Force 1's going to need to be ridden prominently, probably grab the rail and take up the run and then just keep galloping. Whereas Dashing Roger could have that turn of foot that could undo him. So I thought those were the two. I thought 5-1, 14-1, you could back them both. I thought it was very, very fair.
Yeah, I'm just looking. One firm offers early prices for the forecast based on their, sort of current odds, and it's about 90-1 Dashing Roger to beat Bear Force 1 and 100-1 the other way around. So
really?
a pound on each of those is probably better than throwing £2 at the lottery on Saturday.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
Good idea. Perfect. Well, we've really 35 up for you, so that's that. You can move on. We move on to the 310. Another competitive handicap, and I basically think that by the looks of things, we think Haley Turner's going to go through the card, because I like Barn Owl in this. I thought perhaps wasn't suited by the step back in trip last time, was hemmed in as well for a little bit, and then was bumped in the closing stages. So back up in trip for a horse that stays well, is very versatile ground wise. I can really see why Barn Owl is right to the top of the market. My only slight reservation, again, like the guy said, closer to the time, Barn Owl has been withdrawn before on softish ground, so depending on how much rain comes, might be whether he actually goes or not. So that's something to consider, but that's in that 310. Andrew, you want to start?
Yeah, another very tricky one. Star Caliber's interesting, being a Golden Horn 3-year-old at this time of year. Golden Horn progeny tend to improve in the second half of the season. Last year, you made a really good profit back in all the 3-year-olds, the size first 3-year-old crop from the 1st of August onwards. Particularly in handicaps, the Colts and the fillies doing better than the geldings. And Star Caliber sort of qualifies on this now. He ran a good race here last time out, went running too freely over 2 miles, coming back in trip I thought would suit. State of Bliss, the Mark Johnson runner, if he's allowed an easy lead, he might find it just a little bit easier, in this smaller field. But I'll go Star Caliber over State of Bliss. But again, it wasn't a race that I've just given you a 14-1 winner, so you can't you can't get one in every race, can you?
No, exactly, exactly. So Star Caliber, I think currently, again at the time of recording, is about 13-2, and Barn Owl's about 100-30. Daryl?
Yeah, again, I've got two on the shortlist in this. Sky Cutter's the first one. This horse is really, really interesting. Last start in France in Chantilly, finished beaten 3 lengths by a horse called Sirebad. That Sirebad was unbeaten at the time. and then went out next time and was only beaten 3 lengths by St Mark's Basilica in the Prix de Jockey Club in the French Derby over there. Sky Cut only beaten 3 lengths. Comes over here, first run for the yard, first run for a very, very long time. Bollin Joan, just touched off by Bollin Joan at Ripon. Bollin Joan's a very good horse at Ripon, got a great record there. I thought that was a really good start to his British career. And then last time at Newbury, Billy Garrity just couldn't keep hold of him. He just weren't strong enough to keep hold of him. He was sweating at the start, reluctant to load, and he sort of was a bit headstrong. Billy Garrity couldn't keep hold of him. He ends up about 10 lengths clear of the field. He just gets caught in the dying strides by a horse called Sligo Bay. And this Sligo Bay is definitely well handicapped. He's going to go on to be rated much higher than his current mark of 80. So I'd keep him on side. But Flying Solo back in third. He's been progressive all season. I thought that was another excellent performance given the circumstances. Gone up £3 for that run. So the handicappers took a good view of that. And there's definitely more to come. The slight concern would be, will he get the trip? Now, in France, there's been a couple of times over this mile and a half he's been caught late on by a stronger stayer. And the one I would fear would be Contact, who was beaten 4 lengths by Tashcan last time at Haydock over a mile 6. I really don't like it when they've got a mile and a half horse and they like an unexposed mile and a half horse, and then they stick them up to a mile 6. It just says to me that they're just being greedy. They think their horse is just going to stay forever. I didn't think he saw the trip out on soft ground at Haydock that day. I think coming back to this mile and a half where he was so impressive at Pontefract beating Dash of Spice was a good move. He's only £7 higher than that victory. I think this overall is a much weaker race than the one he won at Pontefract. Slight concern I have is the jockey. Now, you might be able to tell me a little bit more about her, Leonna, if you know. Michaela Michael. I've been doing some Twitter research. I've been trying to watch all of her rides.
Obviously, she's had lots of rides. She's ridden and won a great race, hasn't she? She rode loads of winners over in Hong Kong, but whether that'll help her at Ascot against all the other jockeys that know how to ride the track.
Exactly. So, and it came down really between the choice between her and Adam Kirby. And I'm not a fan of Adam Kirby, but I think Contact's an easy ride. I don't think he's a tough ride. So I'll go Contact.
You're brave.
I know.
Okay. Contact.
I do it every year. Every year I do it, and then I moan afterwards, going blaming the jockey when it's my fault.
Yeah, well, got to blame somebody, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, on to the last race, Ascot, which is the 3:45 Shergar Cup Sprint. And again, actually, it's the girls' team that have got strong horses. If we're talking of teams with Royal Scimitar, Dream Composer, they're both near the top of the betting. Do you want to go first, Daryl?
Yeah, this. If you saw my Twitter yesterday, I tweeted out saying after doing the Shergar Cup card for 4 hours, then you see the jockey bookings coming through and put that little video of Eddie Hearn.
Are you happy with who's on Popmaster?
I'm not backing Popmaster.
Surely you're going Royal Scimitar.
No, I'm not going Royal Scimitar because I do think if a bit of rain gets into the ground, I think it's going to scupper his chances. I think he wants a fast surface. He's been pulled out.
So what jockey are you not happy with?
Well, it's the young lady again, isn't it? It's Michaela Michael on Dream Composer. I think this horse is so well handicapped off a mark of 89. I think stepping up to 6 furlongs is a great move. A winner over Kempton over 6 furlongs on his penultimate start. Massive eye catcher in the Holyrood House Stakes at Ascot, behind significantly. If you haven't seen that race, go back and watch that race. See how far back Dream Composer has had to come from to make a challenge. Not only was he stopped in running when trying to come from the back as well, but he went past Popmaster. Like Popmaster was stood still. It was quite remarkable to watch. The slight concern I have is that I think he might just take a little bit of rousting along, and whether or not she's going to be strong enough to really ask him and get the best out of him. It is a slight question mark. So that would just be a slight worry. But I really fancy Drake. He's so well handicapped off 89. I can't. This meeting's going to kill me.
So you're going with it anyway?
Yeah, do you know what? I've had a hell of a week, and this meeting is going to absolutely kill me. But
Hayley seems to do well there, so maybe Michaela will as well.
Yeah, let's hope so. Go on, Michaela.
Go on, Andrew.
Yeah, a tricky one to end the card. I mean, Royal Scimitar we talked about before the before Goodwood and the Consolation Stewards Cup. Thank goodness he was withdrawn, because he was drawn on the wrong side, wasn't he? He was drawn low, so he would have been beaten anyway, I imagine, behind Mr. Wagyu. If it's deemed quick enough for him to run here, I thought he'd run well. I put him up as a bet last time in that big Newmarket handicap. He's run an absolute storm of 40-1 into 28. Finished fourth. Easily won the race on the stand side. The next home on the stand side, when the dealing's done, who was 6, has come out and won at Goodwood, of course. Plenty of pace on from Bowman, and Mitra's on fire. So, Royal Scimitar hopefully will just be able to track those. Yeah. Crazy Luck, I thought, had a good chance as well, who was won't be inconvenienced if it rains. Finished second to Lovely Breeze, a progressive sprinter at Goodwood last week. And Cairngorm for Mick Shannon on breeding, one of the horses best likely to cope with the track at Ascot. You look at the sire stats at Ascot for this race. Most of them have got some shocking records here. So it could be a fun event. I mean, Cairngorm was one of the 4 who raced in the far side group in that big Newmarket race and was only like a length and a half behind Popmaster. Lost a shoe then as well, so may have been a bit closer, but for that. So I'm looking at the prices, I'm leaning towards Cairngorm, because Royal Scimitar, when they're betting open, was 6 is into 7-2 now, and I'm thinking at that price with the doubt about the ground, I can just leave them alone and. If he wins at that price, so be it. So I'll go Cairngorm here, but it's tricky.
Okay, yeah, I think Cairngorm is 8-1. So each way there on Cairngorm, but again, another difficult race. Daryl will be glad to hear that we're done with the Shergar Cup meeting. That's it. On to Newmarket, there we go. We got a feature race there to cover the 250 Group 3 for fillies. And as we've moved away from from Ascot to want to go first, Daryl, and hope that you have some better luck if you've not had any at Ascot at Newmarket.
We'll get a few winners, don't worry. This is a good race. It's Sweet Solara. I wouldn't be taking too short a price about anything in this, because there's not a lot between a lot of these, and for that reason, I'm going to back 2 at big prices. I'm going to back the outside of the entire field, Victoria Grove, who finished behind in Spiral. I think that in Spiral form line is definitely the one to follow for this race, because there is a lot of bits and pieces of form that tie in together. This horse made her debut in what looks like it's going to turn out to be quite a decent race. She was so green at the rear of the field. She didn't have a clue what to do, but once she quickened up, she showed a really smart turn of foot, and I was very surprised inside the final furlong out of the dip, where she finished, where she was positioned to where she finished at the finish line. I thought it was really eye-catching and really taking. She's definitely going to take a step forward from that, and that form puts her right in at the top of the market. I mean, you've got Wild Beauty at the top of this market, who was beaten by in Spiral last time, much further than the 33-1 shot who I've just mentioned, Victoria Grove, and much easier than the 33-1 shot Victoria Grove. So I do think that form line is going to be significant in this race. The fact that it's Charlie Appleby, William Buick, a 2-year-old at Newmarket, is probably the reason Wild Beauty's as short as she is. Yeah. And the other one was Ardbraccan for Richard Hannon, who's got a good record in this race, and is crying out for a really strongly run 7 furlongs. This horse is definitely going to get further in future. Really caught the eye at Goodwood last time. Absolutely had no run. A few winners have come out from that race as well, but got no clear run and just kept on inside the final furlong. I don't think that easy 7 furlongs track at Goodwood was going to suit. I think back here at Newmarket, where she was a really strong finisher last time, beating Calm Skies, will definitely suit. She's improving with each run. She's a 20-1 shot. There's no way on earth I expected her to be 20-1. She was, again, through in Spiral, she was only beaten 1.5 lengths, albeit she was beaten, quite convincingly. She just needs a much stronger run race. And I thought there was so much pace in this, with the likes of Value Theory, Rolling the Dice, Majestic Glory. I thought this was going to really set it up for something to come in late and fast. So Ardbraccan would be a selection, as well as Victoria Grove. They're both 20-1, 33-1. You can back them both.
Yeah, both huge prices, as you say, and they are the exact prices I've got at the moment. Andrew?
Yeah, I thought the draw could play a role here, as it did last year. I mean, the recent Newmarket July course meetings, the stalls have been on the far side. They've moved them into the centre this time. In the stand side rail, the near side where the low draws are, hasn't really been explored, and I've just got a suspicion it might be a little bit quicker. When we've had big enough fields for those to come across, it's certainly not been a disadvantage to be more towards the near side. So I'm looking at the pace angle on the near side, Ardbraccan, one that Daryl's made a great case for. Yeah. Should have been more from stall 1, and particularly of interest is Sunstrike from stall 2, who ran behind In Spiral at Sandown last time. What no one's mentioned about that In Spiral performance, although it was impressive, he's done what every single round course winner did at Sandown that day, the 22nd of July, was basically race wide round the outside of the field, most of them coming from well off the pace. And it was one of those Sandown meetings where the inside was cut up, and if you were prominent towards the inner, you didn't have a prayer, basically. And it was free money in running. It was great fun. And I mean, and a leap sort of bolted up at like about 14-1, and then on a fairer Sandown track last night, couldn't finish in the first 3, went about 4-1. So I thought that was a huge effort from Sunstrike at 14-1, having been around the inside throughout pretty much to finish where she did. So I'll go Sunstrike. But I mean, last year Emiratiana won at 66-1. She was the one who was switched more towards the centre of the track, whereas the runner-up stayed on the far rail. We had an 80-1 shot in third, so it can throw up some funny results this race. And if there is a bit of a draw angle, then maybe it's the low numbers we want to be siding with.
Yeah, and perhaps be an in-running one for you anyway to see what happens.
Very true.
Okay. Anything else at Newmarket before we move on?
Nope.
Not until we know the weather, to be honest.
Yes. Talking of weather, we move on to Haydock. They have got a lot of rain forecast, so you might want to look for some heavy ground form in your selections. The 3:35 we're covering there, filly and mares listed race. I suppose our issue for a few of these is the ground. So I don't know if Potapova will want the soft ground. Mamora, I think, is a question mark. I thought Waliyak would be one to look at. Has some good form on soft and heavy ground that we may well need. And was in a better race last time, Group 3 race. I thought ran okay. This is a drop in grade for Waliyak. Daryl?
Yeah, I came down on Waliyak as well. Actually, I thought she was too bad to be true at Pontefract. I know it was soft ground at Pontefract, but I think it was maybe the track there that just didn't seem to suit, or she just threw in a poor run. Much better at Ascot last time behind Dream Loper. I thought she would be the one in the field that would handle the ground if the rain does come. Yeah. Not many of the. I suspect we're going to get quite a few non-runners like the Stunning Beauty. Passion Over as a horse, definitely worth keeping on side. She's a nice 3-year-old, well handicapped. I know this is a listed contest, but well handicapped off a mark of 89, so keep her on side. But again, she's been pulled out the last twice, even on good to soft ground, so she does want a quick surface, so she'll probably not she'll probably be a non-runner. This Potapova at the head of the market is a weird one. Her debut run at Chelmsford, she was really, really impressive. They gave her an RPR of 91, but all of the horses in that race are still maidens. Nothing's come out and won. Yeah. And then at Redcar, she was really, really impressive, beating the 69 rated Fire and Rain. Now, Fire and Rain's been beaten 70 lengths in his next 3 starts, and no winner has come from that race at all. They're all rated below 70. Yeah. And then they threw her in at Ascot in the Coronation Straights in the Group 1, and then she ran like she didn't look like out of sorts in that field. She ran quite well, but then she just dropped away in the closing stages. Now, that could have been the heavy ground that put pay to her chances there. She's obviously looks very visually very good, but what she's done she's done no time figures. She's beaten nothing above 70. Yeah. No next time out winners has come out from her races. I just don't understand what she's done to achieve to be a 2-1 shot in a field like this. I suppose she's the unexposed horse in the field, and if you're looking for a potential group horse, maybe she's like along those sort of lines. But I think you've got to take her on until you see her do something worthy of a rating of 100. I think you've got to take her on, especially at 2-1. So, yeah, Waliyak was the one I came down on. I think if this turned into a real test, I think she'll be staying on strongest. I think she might want a mile and a quarter rather than a mile. But the soft ground can help with that. And I thought she was the most interesting runner in the race for me.
Yeah, I think Potapova, it could have been a combination of the race being too good, it being a mile and not 7, which is what she won over and heavy ground and a mile. And obviously it's a mile tomorrow. We're also going to have the soft ground. So way too many question marks for Potapova. Andrew?
I'll make it 3 votes for Waliyak. And she really impressed me at Royal Ascot when not on the best part of the track. But Lola Showgirl made all around the inside pretty much. The runner-up Fionn, the stablemate of the winner, was always up there from stall 2 as well. She's done best of the hold-up horses in finishing 3rd. Next time out at Pontefract, the draw played a massive role. If you watch the replay of that race, the winner Lights On, the runner-up Agincourt were the only 2 horses who raced wide. It was one of those, race as wide as possible, come down the stand side Pontefract meetings, whereas Waliak stayed far side. So although she was beaten 11 lengths, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Better effort back at Ascot next time. Won't mind the ground, you would imagine. I mean, Lola's Showgirl could run all right if she gets a soft lead. Like you say, it's. She's got form on soft. She's by. I don't think it's going to be a massive inconvenience. She's won on soft, hasn't she, at York, of course. So Lola Showgirl could go well around the inside if getting a soft lead. And there's one Ville de Grace, who's the same sire as Waliak Le Havre, who is well equipped to handle a bit of cutting the ground. It's been a little bit of a nibble for that one. Sir Michael Stout trained. She hasn't won yet, which obviously be a worry. Running a listed race, but she was 5th of 17 to alcohol free, of course, in the Fred Darling. So she's got some decent form in a higher level. Only ever raced on good or faster going, but the breeding says it shouldn't be a problem if it does get on the soft side. But I'll stick with Waliak.
Okay, well, that won't win the 3:35 because we all think it will. So, moving on, at Haydock again. Consider the ground. The 4:10 is that Rose of Lancaster Stakes Group 3 race. I thought a race that looks quite wide open. I don't know that the betting overly tells us that because we've got a fairly short price favourite. But Andrew, do you want to start for the 4:10, please?
Yeah, I was going to be very boring and go with the short price favourite, Real World, to around about 64 the last time I looked. But it's just been so impressive, winning the Royal Hunt Cup against the bias. Something Daryl's pointed out, previously that only 2 of something like the first 16 home were drawn low. The 1st and the 5th beat Le Bon. Real World then bolted up next time out very impressively when stepped up to 10 furlongs at Newbury, a little bit keen early doors, but still won well. But again, it's the ground, isn't it? So what's going to happen? You'd be concerned enough to just like. If you miss a 6-4 winner, who cares? It's not the end of the world, is it? So if it does turn soft, I wouldn't be.
And that's if he runs.
Yeah.
Will they bother running him?
Yeah, so it's all about Real World, really. If he runs and the ground remains on the quick side, I think he's got a fantastic chance. He'll be very, very hard to beat. But if it turns soft, he probably won't cope with it. He'll be looking at something like Stormy Antarctic, I think, instead.
Yeah, okay. Rain going to make a real difference to selections. Daryl?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Andrew said. I thought Real World was an absolute good thing if this stayed on the quicker side of good. But if the rain came, I think he'd be a doubtful runner. I thought that Newbury run last time, D-Rab tried to hold him in for as long as he could. D-Rab's no mug either, and he still pulled out and absolutely bolted clear. I think he's a very, very, very good horse. I really like D-Rab. I think he'd go back to a mile. I think he's quick enough to go back to a mile. But Real World would be a shoo-in if this stays on the quicker side of good, I think. Glenn's been in absolute fine form. I've been following him for his last few runs. Gutted when he just didn't get up at Goodwood last time through Passion and Glory. He's a remarkable horse. He's won over 2 miles. He's won over 1.25 miles. He's a fantastic horse. I couldn't put you off backing Glenn in a race like this, to be honest, because if Real World does come out, this is a really wide open race, and he's got winning form over the trip, and he's recorded RPRs of 119 for his last 2 runs for an 8-year-old. That's quite remarkable. But the one I'm going to come down on, if Real World comes out and the rain does come, I think Fox Towers is a very interesting 3-year-old in this race. Receiving £8 from his elders, isn't he? Achieved a mark of 109 already in 4 runs. I think that's quite decent. I thought he was staying on again at Newmarket last time behind Dubai Honour. I think soft ground is no problem at all for him. He bolted up at Ascot on soft ground in that Golden Gates handicap. This is obviously a step up in grade for him, but he's receiving a weight that doesn't leave him too much to find. I think, if anything, that might put him close to top rated in this field. So I thought at 92, I thought he'd be a fair price, but only if Real World was to come out, because I think Real World is a good thing.
Okay. We, just to reiterate, so we have had a few of you say about the guys changing their selections and stuff on the, the written articles. It is generally due to the weather. If the ground has changed, there's no point in them still putting the selection in if they don't agree with it anymore. So
yeah, we should also say as well that we've obviously we'll have more time to study as well. So when we used to record this on Thursdays, which I guess we'll be back to, if we were recording at 2:00 on a Thursday, you've only got a 3-hour window to look at sort of several races in detail. Plus, you might also then have them racing at the same track on Friday. So what you thought about draw biases might have gone out of the window. Yeah, after you've seen, say, Newmarket on a Friday, now you're tipping at Newmarket on a Saturday. So you've got more evidence as you get closer to the race, and that can. And again, the prices. If we're talking about a horse at 10-1 that's now 7-2 on the day, we're probably not going to tip it up because we've missed the boat.
As well as non-runners, changes the complete outflow of the race, doesn't it?
Yeah, because there might be 3 front runners and a strong pace. Now that's down to 1, and the horse is going to get a soft lead. So
so I wanted to highlight all of them points just so we're not trying to trick you. It genuinely is that they're actually doing quite the opposite and trying to give you their absolute opinion of that race before it jumps off, basically. So just so you know, either of you, anything else at Haydock or anywhere else next, please?
Yeah, just the 3:00 at Haydock was an interesting race, and there was a Jane Chapel-Heim horse called Lion Ring, who was 16-1 when finishing 3rd at Newmarket last time. That 30th of July Newmarket meeting, I think every winner made all pretty much. It was incredible how biased the track was to front runners. Yeah. Twilight Madness just blasted off down the middle from stall 2. The 2nd and 3rd, Chipstead and Lion Ring, were in the track and having run respectably against the bias. That was a 6 furlong handicap. Is stepping up to 7 here. I mean, the downside, the sire, the Last Line, hasn't got a great record with his turf runners, but they did have a winner in Ireland the other day. So, I thought Lion Ring up in trip, having run well against the bias last time, might go pretty well in that 3:00.
Okay, not too much weight either, 8 stone 9, and I think again time recording about 13-2, so bit of weight value. Daryl, anything for you anywhere else?
Nothing for me anywhere else at the moment. Again, just waiting on the weather, see what the weather does. To be honest with you, I'm probably going to leave my column this week probably until Saturday morning, just because I want to. So many horses are ground dependent. I need to know.
And the forecast is very unpredictable. So we know that Haydock forecast a lot. Newmarket, Ascot, not so sure. Naps, please.
BFO. Bear Force One.
Okay, Daryl.
I was going to go Bear Force One. I can't go Bear Force One. I'll go Dream Composer.
Okay, and mine's Tone the Barone in the first Ascot, so I'll know my fate very early on in the day. Thanks as always, guys, for watching. As I said, don't forget, so Trend Horses is Andrew Mount's Twitter, and Daryl Carter's is that Daryl Carter, and GG.CO.UK as well. So, and that's the website and the Twitter handle for GG as well. So there, guys, the guys' columns are on both of those, so do check those out. Hope for some more winners this week. Good luck with your own selections and ours if you've gone to them. And as always, thanks to SBK for sponsoring this video. And don't forget to check out that website at gg.co.uk.